Greetings, y'all. All right, he's still crazy. So today I'm going to be doing, sticking with the vinyl, we're doing the H and the I's of my collection. Not too many, just a couple. First up, we have 1987, Hoodoo Gurus, Blow Your Cool. This is a really good band. I like them a lot. This is the only vinyl I have by them. My favorite album by them is Magnum Cum Laude. I think that was probably the first album of theirs I owned. But my brother had this on cassette, and also I think Mars Needs Guitars. I remember seeing Like Wow Wipeout, the video on U68 back in like the mid 80s. I think I like borrowed my brother's cassette or quote unquote stole it and would listen to them. And then when Magnum Cum Laude came out, that's when I really got into them. But I picked this up at AFK down in Virginia Beach. I've talked about them before. They usually had a pretty good selection, but I never really found tons of stuff there. But good shop if you're down there in Virginia Beach. It's worth checking out. They I haven't been there in a few years, but when I was there, they had a pretty good selection of vinyl and used CDs and stuff. Big song off of this was Good Times. It's got the little hype sticker still on here. They're supposed to be touring this year, 2020, and I was really looking forward to going and seeing them because I never got a chance to see them live. They were going to be playing at, I think, Webster Hall in New York City in the fall, but that, because of COVID, has all been canceled, postponed, and they're rebooking dates for next year. So, hopefully next year I'll get a chance to see them live. There's a bunch of cool tunes on this. Out That Door, What's My Scene, Middle of the Land, My Caravan. It's really good. I said before, Magnum Cum Laude was my favorite record. This and Stone Age Romeo's, those three records, all three of them, I think, are kind of like pretty solid through and through. You can't really go wrong with any of those three if you wanted to pick something up by them. They're kind of, I guess back in the day, referred to as sort of college rock. They were beginning of that alternative rock scene. But good band. Definitely check them out if you haven't listened to them at all. Hoodoo Gurus. Next up, we have Ice House, Measure for Measure from 1986. I just did an episode about some of the stuff I've picked up since 2020 started, and I talked about this band and this album specifically because I had recently picked up this on CD. I had the cassette back in the day when this came out in 86. The tunes off of this that were really popular were No Promises and Cross the Border. I remember Paradise being pretty good, and maybe Spanish Gold. I haven't listened to this album from beginning to end in a little while. That's why I bought the CD, because I wanted to put it on my iPhone so I could listen to it while I was out walking around or something. But I remember really liking this. I feel like this kind of broke them in the US. They had pretty good success with this. The album after this, Man of Colors, is where they had their most chart success here in the United States. And then after that, I don't think they really did much here in the States. I know they put out this kind of quasi compilation, I think after that, called Great Southern Land, which I have on CD, which wasn't bad. But a good band, kind of new wave. This dude had like the craziest mullet in the world. Go look up some of their videos. Maybe I'll put a link to one of them below. You'll see what I'm talking about, man. It's pretty mighty, they might say, man. He committed to that thing, but good band, Ice House. Now we have 1983, Billy Idol, Rebel Yell. I got this from the record store in Howell, New Jersey. I've spoke about them before. I actually got the Ice House record from there too. It might have been the same day. They were shutting down, unfortunately, and they had these sales, 50% off, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So I popped in there and was digging through their bins and saw this. I liked Billy Idol back in the day. I know he's back out touring and everything. But I haven't really listened to any of his more recent stuff. I think I kind of followed him up to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, it was kind of a mess, and that's where I kind of jumped off. But I don't think he did a whole lot after Cyberpunk for a while. There were a handful of years. But this is a good record. I mean, as far as like kind of, you know, new wave, 80s tunes, this album is great. I've never seen him live. I had tickets to see him live. Me and my buddy Will we're going to go see him at Madison Square Garden in New York in maybe 87 or something like that. We get to the show and we find out that the show's canceled because the Garden, they had like asbestos or something in the Garden, so they couldn't do shows there. So we're up there in New York and we're like, oh, you know, had no idea. So I didn't get to see him live, which is a bummer. These things were all over MTV and Friday Night Videos and whatever, so the videos were played nonstop. So some of them, you know, might be like, you may have had your fill of them, but, you know, obviously Rebel Yell's on here. I remember getting Rebel Yell, the 45, back then. I liked that song. I remember picking up the 45, and I always thought that was like a bigger hit, but I remember reading not too long ago, like the Billboard chart, and I don't even know if it got into like the top 40, like the single. I don't even know if it got into the top 40, or if it did, it just got to like the lower level of the top 40, you know, but I always thought that was a bigger hit because he was like on the radio constantly, the video was always on, but you know, whatever, who knows how those things worked back then. Daytime Drama is a good tune. Eyes Without a Face, of course, that was all over the video. Blue Highway is great, that's one of my favorite tunes. Flesh for Fantasy, Catch My Fall. Of course, you know, Steve Stevens has got on guitar, and he's pretty damn good guitarist, you know. They did, I think, one more record after this, which I may have coming up, and then they kind of parted ways for whatever reason. And then Billy Idol's probably biggest album success was the one after that Steve Stevens wasn't involved in, Charmed Life. But they've mended fences or what have you, and they're back touring together. But, you know, what more can I say about Billy Idol? Rebel Yell. I think he's got his logo or whatever trademarked. And now, guess what? I got more Billy Idol. Whiplash Smile. I always liked that title. I remember when they announced it before the album came out. I thought that was kind of a cool title for an album. But again, I picked this up at the record store in Howell when they were going out of business. Same day that I picked up Rebel Yell, they had the little hype stickers still on there. To Be a Lover, World's Forgotten Boy, Don't Need a Gun, it's promoting. To Be a Lover was the big single from this. Don't Need a Gun was really good. I remember really liking that song. The one thing that I never liked about the record store in Howell is they'd have good deals there, they'd have good selection and everything, but he used to put the price stickers on the outside but also on the inside. And, you know, this one I got off, no problem, but I've had ones from there before where you're trying to peel that sticker off very gently or whatever, and it starts to rip a little, and you're like, ah, man, but I used to hate that. This was the other weird thing about Billy Idol I remember back in the day is that this isn't side 1 and 2, it's 5 and 6, because I guess this was his third album that he did that. Like Rebel Yell was side 3, side 4. I don't know. I've never looked up to see what the idea behind that was, but I just remember, yeah, if you see the back, 5, 6. Oh, and there's even a certificate of authenticity. Join the counterattack. Whatever the hell this was. I guess when you bought it, you were supposed to send this in to Chrysalis Records to prove that you bought it or something. I don't know. I forgot that was even there. Good album, though. World's Forgotten Boy is a good tune. To Be a Lover is a good tune. Sweet 16 was kind of a big song off of this. And Don't Need a Gun, like I said. I remember picking this up when it came out, and I liked it. You know, I liked Billy Idol back then. I thought he was pretty good, put out some pretty good tunes. So that's it for the H and the I's. By all means, subscribe, like the video. Let me know what you think of these records, any other records by these bands. I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment and subscribe, all that nonsense. Anyways, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. Here's the napkin from my very first episode of the A's with my notes on it. How about that? Really stepped it up now. I got paper.